Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome back to the podcast. Sorry, I gotta put this thing down. If you were listening a couple episodes ago and I was talking about the Tragically Hip and their great documentary and their great music, I bought this in Kingston, Ontario at the Kingston Guitar Shop because it reminded me of a guitar that Gord Downie played in a Head by a Century video. If you know the video, this is very similar. And I like to tell myself that being that was the Hips' hometown, that maybe Rob Baker came in one day and played this, or maybe Gord himself picked it up. These guitars, this is a 53 Hofner. These were imported into Canada after World War II by the Selmer Company. They weren't available in the U.S., but there's a ton of them here, or up in Canada, rather. So, very cool guitar. Maple. Beautiful. Beautiful. And when I got it, we had just pulled into town late the night before, and I woke up, and we were literally across the street from the guitar store. I was on a Jackson Browne tour. I was his road manager, and he came and knocked on my door on the day off at like noon, and he was like, "Hey, have you seen the guitar store across the street?" And I was like, "I already bought a guitar." And he did too. He got like a 69 J45, I believe. Really nice Gibson. It might have been a Hummingbird. It was beautiful, and he got it for like a couple grand. It would have been twice that in LA. Anyway, I'm definitely rambling now, 3 minutes into the show. I'm doing it a little later than I normally do, so got some Halloween lighting going. And we're heading into scary times. Hopefully our trick-or-treating will be on the 31st. And then we can just move ahead. Maybe I'll just talk the whole episode. Tell ghost stories. You know, the first time I heard John Prine's music, I was living in an old farmhouse in Burtonsville, Maryland, with 2 lesbian women and a pot-belly pig. One of the women was my mom, the other was her partner at the time, and she had a CD of The Missing Years, a great John Prine album, and it blew me away. But that house was haunted. It was a Civil War era house. There's a lot of those in the Maryland area, so I grew up kind of around them. I was in my early 20s at this point. I had moved back to the area for a little while from New York. And I moved into this house, and about a week or two in it, they had warned me about a week or two into my stay, you know, they'd warned me it was haunted, but it hadn't been that bad. But I guess whatever spirit was in there didn't really appreciate me too much. And a lot of weird things started happening, you know. There was like this stone with the initials of the original owner of the house that was left up against an oak tree outside one night. Like just face up with the initials and everything. And there was an old root cellar on the property that was just haunted AF. You just got the chills walking into it. And there was an old barn too. And anytime you see an old barn in the Maryland countryside, like some bad stuff probably went down at one point or another. A lot of those places had been like field hospitals in the Civil War and stuff, so. Anyway, I was versed in all of that stuff. My mom used to take me to Gettysburg and stuff all the time as a kid. And one time we got stuck at dusk as the park was closing and sort of got lost driving around and ended up in one of the fields, you know, kind of near Pickett's Charge or whatever. And it was like a fog came up out of all the corn rows, and then all of a sudden you saw like the outline of what looked like a figure, and then you saw a bunch more, and then like hundreds more, and then we all freaked out. Kind of kept driving around further and further in a panic. You could see him on the side of the road. Like, it was crazy. It's crazy to see one ghost. It's even crazier when you see like 1,000 of them. So I'm living in this old farmhouse where I learned about John Prine. And a couple weeks into the stay, I'm in the guest bedroom, and the guest bedroom was on one side of the house, and there was a little living room upstairs, and there was a stairwell, and then there was a couple more bedrooms, one of which was a master bedroom that my mom was in with her partner and their cats and dogs and all this kind of stuff. So I'm sleeping one night, and I hear somebody rustling around in the kitchen. And I'm like, they're both asleep. The animals are upstairs. I hear this like moving around. Then I remember they told me the house was haunted. So I'm like, it's not that big a deal. Been around that stuff my whole life. This is back when I still drank too, so I'm sure I had a few beers in me, Liquid courage. And I'm like, that's not a big deal. I heard it rustling around. And then I heard it creaking on the stairs. And slowly coming up the stairs. And I'm like, all right, that's still not that big a deal. I can handle it. And then I don't hear it for a minute. And then all of a sudden I hear breathing right above my face as I'm lying in bed. And that freaked me out. And I hauled ass so quickly across the house and ran into their bedroom. And they'd been up and they'd heard the whole thing. And all the animals, more importantly, had moved into that room and were freaked out. And the weird thing is, it was completely silent outside. And it was like there was an energy that was hanging over the house. You could feel it. I'm getting my chills a little bit just thinking about it right now. It was like an energy, a stillness, like a pressure, like low pressure or something. And it was palpable, and we all just kind of hung out there in the bedroom for a little bit. And then it lifted. And all of a sudden you could hear the breeze through the trees, and the animals kind of visibly relaxed and got up and started moving around and hopped off the bed and went out of the room, went exploring the rest of the house. So whatever was there was gone, and I had no other experiences with it. So that's just one of many. I'll tell you the Exorcist story sometime. Anyway, I should get into it. I've been chatting for 8 minutes. I got to learn how to do these live stream things. I was supposed to be on a live stream tonight, and I think they bumped me or something. And I was like, I should just do my own. But I'm not trying to raise any money, so. Anyway, thank you guys for listening to everything I always do. Sorry for the sloppy playing. I'm not going to do a whole big rant now. I don't think we need that. If you've been paying attention, it only gets worse with Trump and his rhetoric and things that he said in the past, Every disgusting utterance you hear from him, that's who he is, and that's who he's always been. And people condone that shit, They let him get away with it for their own careers and their own opportunities, and they created a monster, And that's a lot of what we're dealing with now, is just this sort of monster that has the support of, still too big a chunk of this country. But we have the numbers as well, and we're going to show up. I guess that's what this is a rap about. It's about voting. We got 2 weeks left. 2 weeks from tonight, everybody's going to be in front of their TVs, right? It's going to be a big show. But the future is on the line, and you get a say in how it ends, right? It's a season finale of 9 years of hell, and let's send this guy packing, man. Let's get this ghost story out of here, okay? And let's move on. So just show up, vote blue. Don't let them sway you with all the craziness that they're going to pull, and just keep your cool. And understand we probably won't know that night, Not 100% because of malfeasance, just because how long it takes to count votes in Philly and, Pennsylvania and beyond. So, good news today out of Georgia. They're blocking the new rules, which were, insane about hand counting the ballots and all that. So, let's show up in large numbers. Let's vote this guy, into the dustbin of history. Let's elect Kamala Harris, Vice President Harris, and Tim Walz, and let's move on, man. I'll tell you ghost stories for the rest of the year. I don't want to talk about Trump anymore, man. It's too much life out there. Let's get to it, Anyway, Talk to you soon, guys. Peace.